Alrighty, hey guys. Alright, let's do it. Hey, buenas noches a todos. Soy Roden y bienvenidos a Eve Station Trading, episodio 55. Esta noche vamos a hablar de las predicciones de la semana pasada. Y también vamos a ver a las cosas que trae de Cheetah a Imensi para los imports. Ahora mismo estoy listo para construir los capital ships en Basgarin. Basgarin es un sistema en LOSEC que tiene un Yeti sutil. Está en la región de Sync Liaison. Y también recibí una correo para que tiene preguntas. Y esta noche vamos a responder a las preguntas. Y claro que sí, tenemos el Shield Time. Para el Shield Time vamos a hablar del Discord channel de Industrial Pursuits y también G Fleet en octubre. Y voy a ir a G Fleet este año. Y ya, empezamos. Alright guys. Another Spanish intro. Good to go. All right, so just a quick thing. I really enjoy doing the Spanish intro. I actually really enjoy it. Oh, hey, Marcos, what's up, bud? All right, so I'm gonna carry on with the way we normally do. It's now that we got our first returning episode done, we can actually go back to kind of the old format of how we've had it. So we're gonna go. First thing we're gonna go over is a review of last week's predictions / suggestions. I kind of had a really good conversation with someone from the Industrial Pursuits Discord about what I actually do. You know, is it a prediction or is it a suggestion? It's a little bit of both, I think. Then after that, talk about some stuff that I've been doing in MNC. Mostly, I was reviewing things to actually import, and I actually have some numbers here. Now we'll just talk about it and see. Because these margins are really big, man. I was kind of surprised how big the margins were, so I'm not quite sure where the disconnect was. So I'm definitely taking advantage of it, so that's for sure. Marco's like predicting by suggesting, something like that, right? A quick update on the restarting of the Capitol building assembly line in Basgarin. Yeah, I mean, I moved everything not too long ago. Then put on buy orders, and yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit more. But I got set up pretty quick. I was really surprised. And now I'm gonna go over someone had a question that was sent to us by email, so we'll go read that over. Kiki wants to stop screwing my BNI margin. Dude, the BNIs are the margins of the BNIs that's tied very closely to the value of the LP. And by the value of the LP, what I really mean is how much work it takes to get the same amount of LP for those trades. So this is one of those things. And we got some shield time items for sure. Putting a word out for other market type discords out there like Industrial Pursuits. And we're going to talk about G Fleet. I really am interested in, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people that I'm super excited. I'm intending to go, short of something with work happening. I'm going to be there, and it's going to be in October, so we'll go over that stuff. That's definitely something that I really want to take advantage of since, at least for now, I'm in Europe. And yeah, why not? Looking at the cost, actually doesn't cost that much from Spain, so that's pretty good. And of course, our predictions for this week. So we'll go get started with our review from last week's predictions. Last week's calls. The first ones that we called was the Intosis Link Tech 1 for a buy. That's pretty close. That was pretty good. That's actually pretty good. So let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I would have called it. I think by the time, I think when we showed it, it had this. So it was right at the edge of flipping over to a. It still had a buy signal. I mean, I think it just reinforced its trade channel, to be honest. That's kind of a so-so call, I think. So-so call. Back then, if you were able, when we called it, you were able to get it for 7. What can you get it for now? You can get it for 9 now. Actually, it's kind of tight right now. Actually, that's kind of a good call. See, that's one of the things about using the Dungeon channel. Bargo says buy is blue under red, right? Yes. That's a good. That's a quick way of looking at it. Yes. But you kind of have to look at some other items too. But just with your statement is blue under red. Yeah. It's not. Its price is trending low, so it may be of value to actually buy it at that point. I think it's a good call. At the time, you would have gotten. When we called this, it had a pretty stable buy of 7. Right now, it's sitting at 9. That's pretty good. So let's say you bought it at best case scenario. Let's do some math. Best case scenario, you placed buy orders and you got it for 7. And now you can dump it immediately into buys for 9.5. It's a 35% increase in value. Dang, that's a lot. How much volume though? Under 250. It's alright. That's a good small wallet play though. I think that's a really good small wallet play. All right, good call. Next one I'm gonna review are Republic Fleet Berserker. I made so much money on this. Ridiculous, so much money. Like selling it in catch. I think it was just. Oh, actually, not take that back. I think that was just Berserker 2s. Oh man, let's see how it looks right now. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It actually decreased in value. That's not necessarily bad. You got it when it's undervalued. The only thing with so that's actually a really good example. So when you call something as a buy, and the price continues to slope downwards. I mean, did it have enough indication from last week that it was going to slope downwards? Actually, yeah. It was just that it's still a buy. It doesn't actually change anything. Okay. When we got it from last week, it's probably what, maybe 2.2, something like that. It's at 1.8 right now. So you gotta hold on to it a little longer. All right. That's okay, to be honest. It's got a pretty clear resistance at the 2 mil mark. I imagine it's gonna bounce back from here. But at the same time, playing Minotaur specific items in Jita can be kind of dangerous. It's just not. It's more popular to trade Minotaur items in like Heck and Rents. In all honesty, it's one of the few things that it's worthwhile to play in Heck and Rents is specific Minotaur stuff. All right, that's kind of a so-so call. I mean, worst case scenario, you just have to extend your time horizon. Not really a big deal if you're medium time frame kind of guy anyway. All right, next one we're gonna look over Pith A type small shield booster. Yeah, it just stayed on its trade channel. That's okay. Yeah, nothing crazy. It just stayed on its trade channel. 7. It's super flippable though. It doesn't even really matter. Yeah, 75 to 100 basically, just about. That's huge. That's huge margins. That's huge. If anything, if that motivated you to at least grab them from buys, and then it's still flippable on the same ranges, so I think that's a win. That's a definite win. All right, next one. Okay, so those are all our buys. I'm gonna go over our sells. We called a sell for the Caldari Navy hook bill. Still a sell. It's probably. I wonder where this is gonna stop though. Super low volume, but it's creeping up. People are just straight up. There's no action on the buy side. These are all sell side actions. Why did it suddenly become popular? It's not like the Caldari people are trading their LP to get the hook bills. They're literally grabbing it from the market. Why would you grab this from the market? Are they just that much better now? I don't know. Bargo says may go higher. Calamine will still have faction warfare space to lose. Sure, it's possible. It's just that it's actually it's raw demand. It's what it looks like, man. So unless the hook bill actually is a good counter to whatever the Galente folks are bringing, that's the only thing I can think of. It's actually a legit counter. That's kind of weird that it is. Is it one of the top three? No, it is. It's just that there's better options. I mean, for the price, I guess it's pretty good. I would prefer to be either in a slicer or a comet, though. That's just me. I was, I'm not that big on the hook bill. It's strong. Don't get me wrong. It's just that there's better options, personally. All right, next one I'm gonna look at. So that was a good call for a sell. Would it have been? So that's actually a good question. If you posted this as a sell, if you had the LP and you posted it as a sell. Oh, okay. So what the thing is? So okay. So this is what's happening. No one's dumping it into buys. So the normal sell side action is just carrying on its normal pattern, but it's not being corrected by the buys. That's what it is. And this, even with the small number of trades, 55 per day, 48, 110, it's 75. That's actually skewing the information. Kind of makes sense. I'm still surprised that no one's dumping it. I would think that people would be dumping into the buy side. That's just me. To cash out, so they can continue fighting. All right, next one I'm going to look at is a Fed Navy comment. Same, wow. But this one's a little bit more. It's a little bit more readable, and it's got volume behind it. So this is like normal price action, like truly normal price action. So it's going up. It's about to cross over. Like, nope, we're still good. It's going up. Trying to cross over. Like, nope, we're still good. It's barely going up there. I don't know if there's got enough juice to make a third crest here. I won't be surprised if it does. I'm imagining just a high plateau, to be honest. QQ Mod says people that dump into buys don't do ships. It's just too much effort. Yeah, it's just trying to cash out your LP. That's all it is, If I had a ton of LP though, like I wouldn't do it in Frig. I wouldn't use Frigs as my conversion platform. I'd actually use either cruisers, battleships, or some very specific faction modules. That's specific to that faction. But if you're a Galente, like VNI is a gimme. It's an absolute gimme. Something like that. Yeah, so we call this a sell. Still a sell. It's still a sell. And based on the Donjon channel, it does see some buy action. People are dumping into buys. I wonder what the spread is on this. Whoa. What's up with it? It's not even a full page on sell, guys. Not even a full page on sell in Jita itself. For those that can see this, hopefully you guys can do something with this. Somebody correct us before downtime. That'd be great. That's legit demand, man. Look at that. That is legit demand. 24 mil for a comment? Dude, that's high. That's super high. Actually, oh wow, this is actually all time, isn't it? Yeah, it is all time. These are all time highs. So whoever was able to cash out last week, congratulations. All time high cash out. That's what's up. And finally, for our review, it would be Caldari Navy Adaptive Invuln Field. One of the caveats when we talked about of this is it's not a very high volume item, so you have to be really careful. Albrago says buy out the market and relist at 50 mil. I mean, you could. You really could. But it'll be easy to just kind of compete it back down to normal pricing, right? So, but unless someone is willing to do that, then it probably could stay at 50 for a while, or no one could buy it at 50. That's another option too, right? No one buys the relisting. All right, we call it as a buy. Oh yeah, we just caught the crest there, but I think it's starting to correct now. It's starting to correct to a plateau or a trade channel. It's just a little bit elevated. No big deal. Let's go back 7 days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. It pulled back a little bit, but it's basically the continuation of the trade channel that it was currently on anyway. All right. But again, it's like personally, I don't think I've ever, if I ever traded on this, it wasn't a long term thing, and it was definitely a quick dump, that's for sure. What's the daily volume, like 1 to 5? Yeah, 1 to 5 in the last 7 days. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like I personally wouldn't mess with this, but if you want to, this could be a good good payout for people if they're willing to sit on it. One takeaways: you sell for 454 and sell for 513. At the same time, not a full page. I mean, to be honest, I would, if I needed a Caldari Navy Adaptive Invuln, I have to really look at my fin and say, why is a DG not good enough for this? Considering the price too. That's the biggest thing. I think it's just overpriced right now. I'm surprised no one's. What would be the forces that would properly correct this down to something more reasonable? Like it should be closer to like 200, to be honest with you. But it takes time for it to actually correct in that fashion. So we'll see how this plays out. Yeah, all right, decent calls. That's I'm pretty happy with those calls. They're not bad. They're not bad. All right. So that being said, we're gonna go over what we imported for MNC. So right now, I'm just gonna type this out in chat so that we can all see. I'm gonna first look at nitrogen ISO 941 kg to sell. Just straight. Just grab it. Just grab it. Insta buy it. All right. 941K, and you can sell that same item, nitrogen ISO, for 1.2 million in MNC. It's been holding on that margin for like 2 weeks. So if you're a guy that has the ability to move it, or just if you have a stock of it and just want to sell it and you have access to not so when I say MNC, so for this specific example, it's for MNC. Could you get the same margins in catch? Probably a little closer to the center, to be honest. It's probably not gonna be too big of a spread as compared to MNC, because more players in catch, to be honest, and it tends to regulate. When you have more people, it'll basically regulate itself. So that's what the nitrogen picture is looking like. This is one that I'm actually involved in right now. This is the VNIs. I moved 6 of them today, so I just bought 6 from G to sell, and then I relisted, and then I posted it here in MNC. 113 Cheetah cell to 157 Immensity cell. Let's do some quick math on that. I think that's like almost 30%, if not more. 38% difference. All right, that's how I roll. And where I placed it, where I actually seated it to, is in the station or in the staging area where no one has VNIs seated there. So like I'm the only guy selling it in that actually very well lived in Fortizar. So I'm happy with that. I'm super happy with that. I'm not expecting this to actually all sell within the week, to be honest with you. I think more, it's a lot of action happening right there right now. People may not have, people still got at the end of the day, people still got a rep. So, hey, if there's hostiles around and they're killing your VNIs, I can sell you one on station. There you go. To sell VNI BPC. You know what? That's one thing I didn't look at. I don't think that there are any VNI BPCs available in Immensity contracts. There may be some in catch. So, I mean, it's close. It's close enough. I think these same moves you can do in catch. It's just that you actually have to review it first to make sure that the margins make sense to you, and with your transport cost in mind. Next one I'm gonna go over, guys. So the next ones it's gonna be these are fits, right? These are fits on contract. So this one's gonna be I'm just gonna put. I think we can all. We're all reasonably knowledgeable enough on the fits that we kind of have an idea of what they are, okay? All right. For Cerberus, fitted with heavy missile launchers, 380 mil G to buy all. But buy all I mean is you link the fit, you open it up, and you click buy all. That's the number that's gonna pop out. 380 mil for the whole thing. And you can sell that fit that you can buy all in Jita for 380. You can sell it in the lowest. When I reviewed this yesterday, was 445. The lowest regional contract for the fit. The only thing I would say with this is don't fall in love with the numbers, because the numbers are not incorporating all the potential costs that are involved with this. Your hauling cost, among all things, that's the biggest one, is the hauling cost, and opportunity cost too. Because there was a lot in contracts. So your particular contract could be sitting there for could be sitting there for a while. So you got to be okay with having your money tied up when you play fitted ship contracts. You have to be okay with tying up your money. Like when I first started seeding fitted ship contracts, I couldn't really get rid of all my stuff. Most of the times, I would actually end up having to relist because they would expire. So you have to be mindful of that. They're not like playing the public market, where you have a little bit more wiggle room as far as the geography is concerned, because you can kind of just pick up and move it. It's difficult to do that with the contracts sometimes, because if you bought them packaged and you're selling them as a fitted ship contract, you can't use a jump freighter anymore, because now it's assembled. You're gonna have to use a carrier. So things like that. Okay. And we looked at one more item, Basilisk micro warp drive. Pretty common, right? All right, for the Basilisk, 362 buy all and 410 for public contracts. Quick math on that. 13%, that's pretty reasonable. It's not bad. I think that's really all I had looked at least. I was kind of surprised there was even any play on the VNIs. I wasn't expecting there to be any plays on the VNIs. Typically, the people who actually no, I shouldn't say that. If there's anything that would recommend to people when they want to do something like this, I'll of course be mindful of your transport costs. Like for me, I'm going to use myself as an example. For the VNI specifically, I didn't incur any hauling costs because I put that on top of the couriers that I already do. So someone's already paying for my fuel. I don't have to math out the fuel when I price out the VNIs because it's riding on top of a courier contract. So is that kind of shady? I own the jump freighter, bro. You can call it shady. That's cool. That's totally cool. That's fine. You can call it shady, but I own the jump freighter. One of those things. Here, pings for things. All right. All right. So I moved all of talking about my capital strip production line. It's basically I'm back building stuff in Mazagrin. I'm actually in the middle of a lift build right now. I moved it took about 3 days to move it. But it's let me link you guys how much the mineral value I have in this off this move. About 5 billion isk worth of stuff that I can build with rather. About 5 billion isk worth of building materials. Good to go. Super excited. At the very least, I think I can get away with building this lift in like maybe 2 more capitals before I even have to place buy orders for trit or pi. So I'm super happy with that. The pile of titanium and pyrite that I have actually is the same pyrite titanium that I had in Pravi before we left. I just took the stuff with me, and then I captured more when I was in catch, and I just hoarded them. But then when things kind of got rough, I was like, you know what, I'd rather just move this stuff now than be forced to move it in a hurried fashion later. So I moved it all to Basgarin, the Yeti's of tea over there. It's actually a better building. It's actually a better Sotillo than what we have in our own pocket. It cost me. It's definitely it's obvious that it's costing me less to build in low sec within like 8 jumps of the Dixie that I can place the buy orders for my mineral needs, and if needed, sell it. I can move it. It's cheaper to move this to the completed capital back to pocket and sell it there, versus trying to move the building materials moved into pocket. And with the action that's happening there right now, it's not necessarily guaranteed that the structure I'm building out of is going to be safe, but the Yeti Sotillo is definitely ticker tank, so I'm cool with that. I'd rather do that. That gives me more confidence to build in low sec versus building in my own pocket. Unfortunately, but that's just the way it is right now. All right, I think one more item here. So we received this question from Zymex. It's a bit long, so I couldn't really like screen grab it because it was kind of long, especially with my response on top of it. But this question is coming from Zymex. I'm just gonna read to you guys the question, and I'll go over my response. It says, hi, I watch a trading show on YouTube and learning a lot. Trying to do a station and regional hub trading at the moment, but feels like I am not performing as well as others. When reading Reddit threads about their 1 billion seed money to 6 billion monthly profit. I'm trying to get into more long-term trading to get away from one ISK wars as soon as I can. Anyway, I was wondering, what metric do you look for to figure out if an item is worth buying? Do you use technical analysis? Like if an item has 15% difference in the 5-day and 20-day moving average, Does the median price indicate anything of importance? Right now, I try to look at the buy and sell spread to see if it's flippable. Okay. Do you always buy with buy orders and sell with sell, or do you dump into buy on uptrend? Do you use an approximate percentage of the daily volume your orders can catch? Say 10%? Thanks. So those were really good questions, and I'm glad that he was actually able to point out some specific potential solutions to his problems. So in a way, he kind of has the answer already, right? This person already has the answer. Sorta. Now this is my response. Hi there, in short, my answer is yes. Yes to all. Let me explain. You pointed out multiple viable methodologies to identify potential profitable trades. By citing multiple methods, you have stumbled on one of the truths of trading. Not every method is suitable for all types of assets or stocks. I've lost money learning this lesson. Lost a lot of money learning this lesson. Think of each stock as having its own personality, made up of its attributes, general demand, use, and place in the current meta. With that in mind, you have to observe which indicators accurately portray the price action of the item. Now that can be limiting if you're looking at just the in-game, of course. But if you're able to draw that information and then feed it into some sort of platform where you can recreate the information in a better visual way, like using R, that's all you, man. I can't do it. For the purpose of these presentations, I keep it all in game so that we're all looking at the same thing, right? We're all looking at the same things that are accessible to everybody, okay? And I had some other things that I added onto here. If an item clearly has a cyclic nature, play the trends. If an item has an obvious daily flippable trading channel, do so. If you cannot intelligently determine when this item's price will finally stabilize, then it's probably best to wait. Looking at you, Stront. I'm totally looking at you, Stronty. I'm totally looking at you. Oh man, that was a running joke for a good while. I think it still is, to be honest. Treat each stock as its own entity, and you'll be repaid by knowing exactly when to buy and sell ahead of more immediate technical indicators. I hope it wasn't too confusing. Don't worry, you're on the right track. So I really hope that I didn't end up confusing him and I wasn't trying to troll him or anything. That really was my genuine answer. He kind of had the answers already, right? He already knew what things he could be looking for. I think he just was asking, of these technical analysis methods, what should I be focusing on? I mean, the answer, there really is no answer. At least for me, there's no answer because, well, what item are you talking about? We kind of have to break it down to what the item is and what value does that item bring to the game. You kind of have to cover that fundamental analysis before you can dig into the technical analysis. I honestly find myself digging more into the fundamental analysis now versus, even though I present it in such a way that makes it look like my only focus is technical analysis. It's actually not true. I'm curious. So I do hit on that when I talk to you guys and I'm doing the show, but hopefully that's something that I can present better because I don't think I'm really doing as good of a job as I could doing the fundamental analysis of these items. It's just that it's really difficult to display that in this kind of stream format. That's actually probably better to do like as an article. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, I bet you there's going to be some people that would be super interested in learning about the fundamentals. But I think a written medium is more appropriate for something like that versus a visual medium like what we're doing here. All right, so what do you guys think about that? I mean, hopefully, hopefully my answer wasn't too bad, but we'll see. If you guys have any questions on the technical analysis stuff, yeah, that was a good question. I really enjoyed it. But if anyone has questions, you don't catch us live or whatever, yeah, like just email me. Email me on Rodin or Robro. And just know that I'll probably push your question out to the group. You know what I mean? Because it'll be a good learning experience for everybody. All right, now do some shield time. All right, I've only seen a few market related discords out there. I definitely want to one that's been around for a while. I've been in this market discord ever since I've been in Proby, so I like it. This is the hey Slave Dog, what's up, bud? Racing says treat every trade as a unique event. With love and care, craft a unique solution. Yeah, totally, man, totally. I look at things differently when I'm looking at raw materials versus faction items versus wormhole items. I do genuinely treat them differently because I've been burned when I don't treat them differently. All right, so this is a Discord invite for the Industrial Pursuits Discord. They're a group I first met them when I was in Provi, and it was so interesting because I've talked about them before too, but still carrying on with it, living in Provi, I think. I'm pretty sure they're still there, and or at least doing have operations there. But they were doing things in a coordinated manner, and not they weren't all actually in the same corp. So I thought that was really interesting. They were definitely dedicated to doing market play in Providence. So if that's even though you don't live in Providence, but just the fact that a group out there is doing dedicated market play in Eve, not as a solo. I'm gonna just play in Jita and call it a day. Now these guys actually work together to do market stuff. I urge you guys to join the Discord and see if you can get any value out of like I don't know, asking questions or seeing how their operations work, and maybe that's something that you're interested in, putting a character in and see what that kind of gameplay is all about, right? So I finally managed to catch one of these lives and it's no longer 3 a.m. Bro, European time zones, what's up, man? I'm digging this. I'm totally digging European time zone. All right, so hopefully the folks in Industrial Pursuits will appreciate, hopefully, so new people, new faces. All right, and I want to help promote G Fleet. This is I'm intending to go to this event. I really want to go to this event. I've actually never been to any Eve meet. FanFest, nothing. Even the local ones in Wisconsin, where I'm from, never been. But I intend to go to G Fleet. So for this one, I'm super excited. It's going from the 5th to the 6th of October, and it's going to be in Berlin. And I think the cost of the event is I think it's 70 euros. I think it comes with meals and, of course, being able to see the presentations and things like that. I think it's a really good value. Right now, what I'm doing is figuring out accommodations, flight, how long am I going to be there. I mean, in all honesty, short of something super urgent slash emergent happening at work, I should be able to make it to G Fleet. So I'm putting it out there just to help promote the event, and also if anyone's out there coming from Spain and want to go, if you want to share a hotel room or something and split the cost, I'm totally up for that. Or so you know what I mean, just have someone to fly with. That'd be cool too. Yeah, man. So I'm super excited. My first Eve meet. I hear good things about it, man. I really gotta. I definitely before I go, I definitely want to be at least tourist ready for the language change. Same thing that I did here when I first got here in Spain. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. Hopefully that's gonna. Hopefully I have a good time and actually motivate me to go look at other Eve meets. It's a great excuse to travel to Europe. It's because I'm just by myself. My family's not with me. I was like, hey man, I think I'm gonna go do Eve meets in Europe because it's easy to travel when you're by yourself, right? All right, and with that, we're going to carry on with our calls for the week. We're going to start off with our buys. It's a good excuse to go meet other nerds for a drink. Totally, man. I was torn between G Fleet and EVT London. I think G Fleet's gonna be less expensive. Going to Berlin's gonna be less expensive than going to London. I was asking some people actually, some even folks who actually live in England, like, hey, so I'm debating whether to go either go to Berlin or London. What do you think is a better place to visit? Like, dude, go to Berlin. Almost every single person like go to Berlin, go to Berlin. It's like, dang. Oh, Slays says I'll be doing the EVT Alliance Tournament Finals. Ooh, good for you, buddy. Good for you. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I mean, if they weren't so close together, I'd probably do it. Just that, G Fleet's in October, and EVT London's in November. I wouldn't have enough time to actually. I have to pick one. Basically, I can't do both. Oh, Ray6 says I got here late. I'll have to watch YouTube video to hear everything. We're just barely getting into our. We haven't done the calls for the week yet. So yeah. As far as the YouTube, yeah, I definitely. I think I do it. At least for the last one, I was able to publish it on Friday, the following day. So yeah, well, 1 day lag, not too bad, not too bad. Assuming not too many technical difficulties, 1 day lag. That's it. I'll record on Thursday and back up, and it's on YouTube by Friday. So, all right. Unless anyone else has anything they want to go over, we're gonna go ahead and push forward to our calls for the week. All right, the first one's gonna be cadmium for our buy. For these calls, you're gonna see a lot of repeating patterns. Not gonna lie. So something's up. I really think something's up. It's classic, man. Classic, classic, classic. So we have a few calls here for raw moon materials. Okay, raw, not processed or advanced moon materials. Raw. Okay. So as we can see from the picture here, cadmium is quite cyclical. Actually, before I even get started. So when we're talking about the values of these raw moon materials, now these are the values as displayed in JITA. There is no universal market view in game. We can only see what's in the forge region at this moment. Now I caveat with that because just because I'm saying that cadmium is this price in JITA doesn't mean that's what it would go for if they're even selling it in your respective null region. This is just the JITA picture specifically. Okay. So with that, we see that cadmium in the forge has a very cyclic nature. Up in a crest, then it reverses, goes up to a crest, then it reverses, goes up to a crest, and it reverses. All right. So right now, based on because we're literally on the third cycle, it's kind of weird. 3 cycles on a 90-day picture. So every month, it's almost so kind of crazy, right? So it's almost as if there's this period of we're harvesting, and then and now we sell it all in one go in a month, or you know what I mean? Or it's kind of has that feel, right? Slater says, are these to hold and flip later or to export to somewhere? That's up to you. Because that's going to depend on when and where you're actually getting the cadmium. Bargo's Aerith doing Aerith doing this thing. I don't think he's pulled the trigger yet on what he was planning to do, based on the article that he wrote a few months ago. I don't think so. Actually, let me walk that back a little bit. He may have already done it. It's just that you're not seeing it in Empire yet. Potentially, right? Any kind of moon material stuff, any kind of like very specific. I would at least think, moon material stuff. It's kind of, if your only window to observe moon materials is what you see in JITA, you're seeing it late, because the value would have changed already in nullsec, because That's where most of the exchanges are happening for these items specifically. You know, like local production in Nosec needs raw wood materials as a base. But for this particular example for cadmium, I would say it's underpriced right now and it'd be a good time to buy it. Will it cycle back up? I don't know. But based on the picture that we're looking at right now, it cycled 3 times in the last 90 days. So it's a good chance that it'll actually cycle. Is it flippable right now? Actually, yeah, it looks like it is actually. I think there's value in waiting on this. 14%, assuming you can capture it on buys. Yeah, you can definitely capture it on buys right now. People are dumping it because it's establishing a floor. So people are definitely dumping into buys. So you can definitely get this for, yeah, 14 if not lower, probably closer to 13 if you do this, if you have the time to babysit these orders throughout the day. Okay. All right, the next one's dysprosium. I'll be kind of careful with this. Obvious buy, it's slipping hard. There's no established floor. This looks a lot, so let's break this down. We're looking at just how it displays on the charts, okay? So we got the 5-day moving average, the blue line, under the 20-day moving average, which is the orange line. So that's a buy signal. It's lower than average pricing right now. Looking at the Donchian channel, so that depicts the completed trades, the highest for the day and the lowest for the day, and it just carries on. It's kind of on the low end of that, in the lower half of that chart as well, right? So more people putting action on dumping it, okay? And you can kind of actually see that when you look at the median day price, which is actually the mean, not necessarily the median day price. They should really change that, unless it actually is the median day price now. So the mean price for the day is the lowest price that it was traded for. I think this has more room to drop. It's just that would I buy this right now? I wouldn't actually buy this right now unless you're building something and you need a whole bunch of this stuff. Then it would be a good time to actually buy it. But as a matter of buying it for the purpose of flipping it, I'd probably hold off because it looks like it's got more room to drop. Now, a follow-up you could probably do with this, I'm just not knowledgeable enough on this. Brygar says, so people are selling to buy orders. Yeah, they're dropping it into buy orders. That's what it looks like. That's what it's telling us by the depiction of the charts. That's just how I explained it. It's like, hey, these are people dumping it. They're dumping it. They're like, insta sell this bro, insta sell this bro. I got way too much of this stuff, or I'm cashing out. I need money. Insta sell this bro. This probably may. Let's see. I'm kind of curious. Super long play if it is. That's a 120 to 160 day play. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if this drops all the way to 80K. Is there an increase? Slazek says an increase in volume too. An increase in volume with they predominantly buy order action. Yeah, that's dumping. That's dumping. More things getting dumped. It's just that you can't determine from the volume bar if it's a completed buy or a completed sell. It's just a completed trade. So, but based on where the mean price is landing, I think it's a fair assumption that it's being dumped into buys in volume. Sounds like a cash up. Or I mean, it's a 4 to 6. It's probably a 5 to 6 month play. If you were to expand the view, it actually kind of makes sense to have that hypothesis. It didn't start picking up until it got to the 75-80K mark from about 4 or 5 months ago, and now it's gone through its crest and it's working itself back down. So if you can capture this at 80K, I think you'll be in good shape. Slazik says, why would they cash out now rather than a month or two ago? It's a good question. I don't have an answer for that. I honestly don't. The interaction between null materials and even JITA, there's a delay. So, and you have to think too, like, you know, like I live in Nullsec. I know some of you guys live in Nullsec. ISK doesn't mean that much, right? Because it's kind of easy to get. There's more value in materials. There's more value in convenience. There's more value in services versus just ISK, you know. But we of course need ISK to be that go-between for my wallet and the doctrines that I need to go participate in fights, right? So it's one of those things. I don't have an answer why they would cash out now rather than 2 months ago, because I don't know. It could just be people following the trend, but they're following in such a late fashion that they're not reevaluating the position and they're just insta-selling it. They're thinking like, oh, I've been, you know, so this could, this little anecdote may actually be true for some people. You know, you have a guy that says, oh, you know what? I just insta-sold my Dispro and I sold it for, and I sold it for 120K. For 120K per. And then this other guy here's like, oh, I can sell Dispro for 120K per, just insta sell it, huh? Oh, that's interesting. I'm gonna move my Dispro and just insta sell it. But then they look at it and you're not insta selling at 120K, you're insta selling at, you know, like 85. But they don't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they're dumb, but like they're not paying attention. And that's not uncommon. Honestly, not. I've seen people do that like a lot in Nullsec. People will give them some advice. The advice is good. It's just that it's late. But the person taking the advice isn't reevaluating the recommendation. He's just kind of going on blind faith. So if you're that guy, please reevaluate it. Desperate maybe? Yeah, probably. Could be. RaceX says maybe they need ISK and they're liquidating assets. That's true too. Assets, potentially new assets from Fordzar flips, right? Potentially. They should. I wonder if they're actually out by now. I wonder if they're already out by now. Could be. Could be stuff that's finally been freed from the Fordzar flip, Fordzar changes. Slazik says dumping to cheaper than expected buys, which is a lot of traders. Yeah, I mean for the guy that just has the Dispro, like it may not actually mean anything to him as Dispro. He actually just wants ISK potentially, right? And he doesn't care how much, apparently, if he's just insta dumping it. He's getting a win out of it. He's turning it into ISK, and then the people that play JITA can like, oh, I'm getting the Dispro for cheap. I could potentially do builds for cheap because of this, right? It's just strange, man. Just people and how they value money in the game. You know, it's a little strange. It's a little strange, right? Well, actually, no, it's not strange because it's the game. Says that's a 6-week long dump though. It's much longer than that, man. I bet you it's much longer than that. This whole cycle, it's like 6 months long. This whole cycle, 6 months long. It's like one big crest, but then it cycles up and down throughout the whole time frame. It's pretty interesting. The next one I'm going to look at, guys, is buys on all isotopes or most of the isotopes. Isotopes are super cheap right now, super cheap. So if you're in need of isotopes, now might be the time to get them in volume. Razak says, I go to HiSec to get my ISK and import that to null. Yeah, me too. me too. Helium is dropping. Hydrogen dropping in volume. Nitrogen's super stable, but nitrogen's stable because we're in JITA right now and this is the racial isotope. Oxygen dropping. Alright, everything's dropping minus nitrogen. I don't know what's causing this. I mean, people are dumping it. If you look, it's the same pattern. Blue over red and the dot below the blue, right? That's the easiest way to look at it. So you got the blue line, the 5-day moving average under the 20-day moving average, which is the orange line, and the mean price below the blue line, and a lower Donchian channel to match. Status says importing out of region topes to null is a good source of ISK. Yeah, I mean, I use the nitrogen isotope as an example. Huge margins, huge margins, you know. It's just competing with, it's just that how much volume is already in play in staging areas. You know, I mean, how can you reliably actually move your materials there and have it sell, or is it gonna kind of stay in the queue? Who knows, right? All right, so from from the Jita view, it looks like a lot of all but one of the topes are dropping in value. So if you guys need topes right now to build your fuel blocks, all that stuff, now would be the good time to actually grab the topes. Or if you want to start building your cache of jumping fuel for your carriers and whatnot, get the topes now. You might as well. Like I bought like almost 1 billion ISK worth of nitrogen isotopes about 2 weeks ago. It's the same price, you know, sub 1K, so, or sub 1 mil rather. Sega says I filled my leftover jump freighter space with topes in either direction. I filled mine with stuff to sell and market, legit. Because I'm like, I literally have a fairly well developed isotope cache throughout my whole route. Thank God, man. There'll be some days that's literally all I do, is just jump stuff. Raise access is the result of long piece. Someone can reliably produce lots of it and has been for a while. Yeah, that's true. You know, people have all this stuff and they just want ISK to participate in content-filled fights. That could be it too. You know, just all this is this could also be an element of the Fortizar switchover. I doubt it though, especially for topes. I think it's probably more appropriate for like ships, to be honest. But yeah, if you need topes, get them now. Go build your stuff or develop your fuel cache. All right, so those are all the buys. I'm going to go over our sells. We have a sell on scandium. Raw scandium. If you have scandium now, I really urge you to sell it. I don't think, something tells me that this is going to last long. I don't think it's going to last long. It may move into a trade channel, but something tells me it's going to collapse. Because it's historically collapsed. The pricing has historically collapsed in this 90-day period. It's cyclic in nature. So if you have it and you want to sell it, now's the time. If you have it and you can't move it to sell, it's going to be tough because we got the weekend coming up. This may completely have flipped by the time the weekend hits. So something to think about. Okay. And it's all buys too. So for the last 10 days or so, a lot of the mean prices are actually above the moving averages. So people are straight buying this. So I'm actually curious. That's actually a good point. I wonder what gets made with scandium that's creating this demand. I don't know. Serbs, I don't know. Bazis, I don't know. Texture modules that are super popular right now. I don't know. Something like that. I wonder if there's a chart of all these raw moon materials. It just progresses into what they build into. That'd be kind of cool to have. It's a good reference, a good quick reference, right? But people are straight up buying scandium. Yeah, they're straight up buying it. They bought so much of it that the sell and buy price has gotten closer and closer to the middle. And that's going to create the trade channel scenario. All right, cool. If you have it, sell it. If you can't move it right now, you're probably going to miss it. You're probably going to miss the opportunity. Maybe just pre-stage it. Or build something with it. I don't know. I'd probably build something with it if I was messing with Moon Goo. Just me. Next one, guys, is a Caracal Navy issue. It's soaring. It's all buys. It's predominantly buys. Look at that. Mean prices above the moving averages. It's mostly buys. Low volume though, so predominantly buys with low volume is going to give you this really skewed picture. So that this picture actually makes sense. I don't think it's as impressive of a market move as you would think. I think it's because of the very nature of the low volume item that small but consistent actions make the have the appearance of it being a much more urgent market scenario than it actually is. So I think it's a bit of an illusion, but when you look at the volume, it kind of makes sense, right? So if you have the Caracol Navy issue, so if you got the LP, so no. You can even actually flip this, but I don't think enough people are actually dropping it in. No, I don't think enough people are dropping it into buys. With such a large spread, that's probably what's happening. People are insta selling it, but no one's dumping into buys because they can see that no one's playing off of buys. But right now, can you flip? You know, maybe you can flip low volume, like 2 or 3 a day, something like that, if you're lucky. 21%, that's pretty good. 21% difference. But with such a large volume, people are thinking, I'm not going to dump that to buy. I'd rather keep my 20% and just put it on sell and just be more patient. That's a common behavior that goes along with it. And the last one, nightmares. Oh man, I love calling faction battleships. That's my moneymaker, man. For the longest time, it was my moneymaker. Nightmares too. Yep. It looked like it was going through a price correction, but it picked right back up. Genuine demand for this item. Salix says, do you think the volume of the Nightmare BPCs will increase? Won't the shortage continue to push up the prices? I can't speak too much. I can't speak intelligently on Nightmare BPCs because that's not really something I play around with. When I used to live in Provi, I did do Nightmares. But what I would end up doing is actually buying them directly from Providence, like residents. So I don't have a good way to actually display to you guys the faction battleship BPC picture because it's a contract item. Not so much a contract item in JITA, but that's a kind of common thing to trade in the local region. Say says the big blocks all have Nightmare doctrines. Good. They should. I mean, with those, with Pravi is still not fully back up and running. Yeah. I mean, you have to think about it too. I mean, a lot of times these large like armory caches of expensive ships, if they don't die, they kind of just get. Hey, we're just gonna store them in the garage, and we'll right. They just go in storage if they don't die, you know, and they just sit there. So, and that's what happens, right? When your doctrines don't die and the war is over, you put them in the garage and use them when you need them again, right? So, but with this, if you have the Nightmares or you got the BPCs, build them and sell them. Build them and sell them. Slater says Legacy owns the only other region which drops the BPCs. Yeah, but Legacy is super busy with fights right now. I have to think about that too. I don't think not nearly as many people are farming right now, and if they are, they're doing it on super limited time. There's so many ops that's happening on Legacy. So many, man. So many. That's just, you know, hey, it's content, right? So it's one of those things. Take advantage of it. I'm not sure how much longer. Busy with fights using Nightmares. You know, if you can find it local, if you can source this locally, yeah, why not use it? It's a good ship. Why not? Why not use it? Hell yeah, use it. Just insta-blap dudes, man. Nightmares. So good. It's so good. Yep. Anything else? I think that's the last one. Yep. That's our last one. All right, great. Well, thank you very much, guys. Anything I'm expecting for next week? I definitely want to give you guys an update, continuous updates on my capital building. And I kind of want to touch on some conversations that I've actually had with some corp mates about that. Not so much, you know, operations, but like the idea of, because Oh, no, I'll reserve this for next week. But we're constantly chasing this local production viability. We're not there yet. We're so not there yet. And I'm really curious to see what you guys' take on that is as far as the local production. Because we can't get it. We can't get it. We can't get that. The space is just too kinetic. Space is too kinetic. It's not possible. So I'm kind of curious of what you guys' take on regions that are too busy to develop local production, too busy to develop indie, too busy to develop just a good crabbing environment. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of curious what you guys' take are on those, because I think that reveals organizational strengths, and people can really get their stuff together. Slater says, how do you balance local production with the ultimate drive down of prices, particularly for doctrine ships? I can't speak too much of the local production end. I mean, our local producers do try to do the right thing, and not charge too much, or at least just kind of a set X percentage profit. But at the same time, you kind of have to play this. It disincentivizes local production. Yeah, it does. It does. It does, because guys like me disincentivize it for you. You know, like one of the guys were like, "Oh, it's gonna take me like a few days to build this or these sets of Bazzies or these sets of Feroxes, and let me know how much you need so I can like set my production queues." And in an afternoon, I can go in there and basically just outsupply him just by using my jump freighter. Get stuff from Jita, freight it in, jump freighter it in, and by the time all of my Bazzies and Feroxes have already been sold, his stuff is just now coming out of production, and I've screwed him over. You know, it sucks that has to be like that. So I'm like, ugh, I don't have a solution to that. I really don't have a solution to that, because that's how I feed the economy. I take stuff to it, but the producers feed the economy by building stuff and selling. You know. Slater says, if you make more ISK off selling raw minerals than a ship built for them. See with the hurricanes. Yeah, totally with the hurricanes. Hurricanes are weird. Like the production requirements are weird. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good topic to get into. Yeah, I mean, because I think there's so many learning points that we're experiencing in Corp and Alliance right now, but I don't think people appreciate those actual learning points because they're just kind of annoyances right now. You know what I mean? Like maybe like once everything settles down, then we can review it and like in an AAR fashion. Like, oh, that was these are the things that we learned from those experiences. The price drops to 30 million, drives out the producers until there's a shortage, which then raises 45 to 50 again during the panic shortage. Yep, it sure does. It's unreliable being a producer, you know, because, well, yes and no. It all depends on the production line that you actually have, how you're actually doing it. Because at the end now, and you have to compete with jump freighter dudes like me that actually use my jump freighter. You know, I come across so many jump freighter pilots that actually don't use their jump freighter to make money. So weird. So weird. But yeah, I mean, yeah, but if anyone wants to actually get on the show and actually talk about that with me, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Because I can definitely tell you the JF pilot perspective, which in all, it's super oppressive. Like I'm an oppressive force against local producers, man, because I can outpace you just by flying stuff around. So I just don't know what the balance point is. Slade says, I don't do production. I can pick off stuff cheaper than minerals to make it. That and I hate mining. Same, man. I extracted all my mining skills out of all my characters. Every single one of them. And I used to run like a personal mining fleet. It's like, it's just not my thing. Not anymore, at least. All right. That's all I have, guys. Great talks today. Great talks. And hopefully we can continue this for next week. I'm really looking forward to G Fleet for one. So if anyone out there wants to. Oh, so I buy everything off null markets that's cheaper than it costs in GWMR. Yeah. I'm not really doing that yet because I can't really buy in volume, at least not in cash or in Immensity. In Provi, I could actually export in volume, which is really nice. Rygar says I'm trying to do some production of minerals, some junk items. That's good for small stuff. Yeah, that's super good. Like for ammo, up to cruisers, maybe you can do that. You know, depending on how much junk items you actually have to reprocess. That's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea. All right. Yeah, just to reiterate, G Fleet, October 5 to 6. If anyone is coming by way of Spain and you want to cut cost on accommodations, hey, hit me up. Besides that, I'm looking forward to seeing folks over there in Berlin. And yeah, man, so excited. My first Eve meet, so looking forward to it. Slay says, I don't export, I just hold it until I have space to sell. I export because I never know when we're going to lose the space. That's why I export. I was like, get the stuff out of here so that I can actually sell it. Because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. Because I don't have the vision. I'm not a director. I'm not CEO. For all I know, the word may come. I was like, all right, guys, just asset safety everything. You never know. All right, but hey, that's all I got, guys. Thank you very much for spending your evening here. It's low risk with that. Now with asset safety, that's true. I just don't want to wait the 20 days. That's honestly it. All right, but hopefully folks can take advantage of some calls from this week. And moving on to next week, I'm really curious to see how the moon material picture develops. Because the evac time, boys, 12 hours left. I was like, bro, you never know, man. You never know. All right. Well, that's all I got. Looking forward to how these calls develop, especially the moon materials. And I'm actually looking forward to not just that, but the changeover between Caldari and Galactic Faction Warfare. So I'm really curious as to where that puts the VNIs and where that puts Faction Drakes. Those tend to be like the big exchange platforms for the LP. Okay. All right, but that's all I got, guys. Thank you again, and we'll see you next week. See you guys.